Could this be an open world Mario Kart game, or at the least a more open Mario Kart game? I'm starting to think so. Hey everyone, Andre here with our analysis of the brand new Mario Kart game coming to Nintendo Switch 2 in a form a little bit different than you might have expected, because I wanted to get this out as quickly as possible without skipping any of the major details that I've noticed. And I have to say, after doing a deep dive, I am more excited than ever, because even though this game looks a lot like Mario Kart Deluxe at first glance, there's a lot more going on here than I think we realized at first, and I can't wait to explore all of it with all of you. So let's dive on in and take a look at all the hidden details in Mario Kart on Nintendo Switch 2. And that starts with something you've probably seen already, the fact that there are now 24 racers in this. That's crazy based on the 24 starting marks at the starting line. And of course, we can even see a giant horde of racers at a couple of points that, even though it's hard to make them all out individually, we did exactly that anyway. Yep, for all 24, or so we think. So here's a quick montage of all 24 racers and who we think they are. Mario, Luigi, Peach, Bowser, Toad, Daisy, Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, Green Yoshi, Rosalina in a snowmobile, Pauline, Donkey Kong with a brand new look based on the Mario movie, Wario, Waluigi, Toadette, Baby Peach, Baby Rosalina, Baby Daisy, Koopa Troopa, Birdo, King Boo, Shy Guy, Bowser Jr., and what might be the grand return of Lakitu, though it is really hard to say for sure. But I want to give a thanks to the amazing Spidey Frosty on Twitter for this possible suggestion. So that's all 24 racers so far accounted for, and it makes me wonder how many will be in the final game. Because of the races having 24 characters in total, you're going to need a pretty wide variety, if not a lot of customizations available, so it doesn't feel like you're racing the same opponents constantly. Now, speaking of which, with a race having 24 racers, you're going to need a pretty big racetrack, and as it turns out, the trailer is hinting at a far grander scale than we've ever seen before for Mario Kart. Just look at how big this desert is, which by the way is apparently called Mario Bros Circuit. I don't know what that connection is exactly with the desert, but we'll get more into that in a few moments here. But again, just look at how big this is. Now, I don't think you'll be able to race wherever you want, but there is something here that suggests that this racetrack won't be static every time you race on it, because check this out. I noticed right away in the reveal or in our live stream reaction that there are these movable barriers here blocking what is clearly a track beyond them, and they don't appear just once, they actually appear multiple times, such as in this later scene right here as well. I'll circle them just in case you can't see them, which again suggests to me that these tracks might be dynamic, either changing lap to lap, kind of like the city tracks in Mario Kart Deluxe's booster course from Mario Kart Tour originally, or they might change, based on whichever format you pick for the race. You might be able to have different configurations for these racetracks that you can select in advance. So we don't know whether it's dynamic or not, though there is one thing I noticed that might suggest a possible element of it being dynamic here, because watch this. This is crazy. See this cone right here? See it? Do you see how it moved? It's moving, that cone is moving. So let's zoom in and take a closer look at this cone as we go frame by frame, because watch what happens as we back up the footage. Even though it seems to be resting on the ground right now, you can see it's actually now seemingly tilting at an angle with what appears to be feet underneath it, even though nothing acted against it as far as we can tell. And it's not the only one, but if we go forward a little bit, we can see a second cone here doing the exact same thing, which makes me wonder if these cones are alive, or at the least if there's something living inside those cones, suggesting that they can move around. If not dynamically, they act as a reason for Mario Kart to be changing these routes, which is super interesting. And while we're here, there's something else sus in this area too, specifically about that Shine Sprite sign. Because if we take a close look at it, it doesn't appear to be attached to anything, including the ground. We can clearly see underneath it, and there's no supporting structure at all, which makes me think this may not actually be a physical part of the racetrack, because things don't usually float in Mario Kart, despite them often floating in Mario, because Mario Kart's a bit more grounded, oddly enough, and again, this just seems a little bit out of place. And adding to that is the fact that throughout the rest of the trailer, we can see that this is an active roadway. There's cars all throughout, including the distance there, and even a semi-truck clearly on the move. So if we back it up back to the Shine Sprite sign, we can see another car right in front of it that doesn't appear to be turning, so it appears as if it may have just come from the direction of the Shine Sprite sign. And furthermore, if we look behind the Shine Sprite sign, we can see what it might appear to be even more cars. It's hard to say for sure, but it looks like there's something back there. And it makes me think that cars can really travel through this sign, as in, it may not be, again, a physical presence. which is leading me to think that it may just be more for the user's benefit to make sure that they don't actually go down that route, at least in this configuration, and that it can possibly move around or not even exist at all depending on which racetrack you're on. So taking all this into account, I want to explore some more of the options possibly available to us, especially in this final scene. Because if we freeze it right here, we can see what appear to be multiple options available. So the main track, of course, continues straight and then curves up there and continues on to who knows where. But also we can see more dirt paths to the left or right and left, I should say. To the right here as it curves around here and continues onward, and to the left. And if we look here, there definitely appear to be barriers along the side of the track as you'd expect elsewhere and as we've seen elsewhere. Again, suggesting that that's not just a background detail, but that you'll actually be able to race on it. Which is making me think that there are any number of configurations available to us that will be open or closed depending on whichever configuration the race is currently set to. And if we go back to the start of the race here, we can get, again, another better idea of how it may all fit together now. As we can see that, once again, if those barriers weren't there, the track could continue to the left around this building, and again, who knows where to. Or if we go back, if we look at, the current track setup, which goes into this off-road segment before reconnecting with the paved pathway, we can once again see that Shine Sprite sign, which if it weren't there, maybe the race could continue to the right, with that route being blocked off, and this route being blocked off, forcing it to the right. Or maybe we could continue straight across onto that other roadway that the barricade is currently blocking, being again this barricade right here. So maybe we'll continue past it into, a whole different area of the racetrack. So this is all making me think that, again, the racetracks will be bigger, grander, and more dynamic, or at least have more forms than we've ever seen before, as in any amount of forms more than one. And who knows how many configurations there could be. With all these different routes, there could be multiple configurations available for each track. Again, assuming it doesn't change dynamically during the race, which even if it does, that still holds true. There's multiple configurations available, which is crazy, at least based on what we're seeing. Anyways, I'll have more to say about this track design specifically soon enough. But for now, I'll focus on a new gameplay element that may be introduced in this scene. Because first of all, if we zoom in, you can see what appear to be the typical row of iron boxes way off in the distance. I assume they work much like they do currently, though again, we can't say for sure. However, if we zoom down, or if we move on down here, we can see this strange glowing thing. What the heck? Now, at first, I thought it might have been a gold iron box with a face on it, which could still be the case. But someone in our Discord, Rye121, pointed out to it that appears to look a lot like the Wonder Seeds from Mario Wonder. And it makes me think this could be a major new item, possibly changing the track design or giving you some major new benefit for whoever collects it that could completely possibly change the race. I can only speculate from this point, but again, it seems to have the face and even the stem of the Wonder Seed, which is actually something I speculated about a few months ago that could really change how this game works. So again, we don't know how it works now, but maybe it can be tied into how the tracks dynamically change if that in fact is a major component of this game. So I'm excited to find out more about what that Wonder Seed actually means. Now while we're here, you probably noticed this cute Yoshi's Diner, which we assume is a diner based on the scene pointing to it earlier on. And it's just a cute looking place with it having a Chef Yoshi mascot, though a red one oddly enough, when usually it's green. Now something else you may have noticed is that appears to be a hamburger bun forming the awning of the building itself. But it actually has a secret double feature, because it's not just a hamburger awning, it's actually a Yoshi awning, because the entire building is Yoshi shaped. There is his nose, and those are his two eyes with his eyelids above. So this entire thing is Yoshi's head, which is again is another fun touch. Now there may be another new feature I have to talk about, though it could also mean nothing at all. And that's the fact that at the starting line or finish line, the lap marker if you will, there is a lane running adjacent to the main raceway, which of course looks like it's some kind of pit stop if you will. Which is reminiscent of something we've seen in GBA Mario Circuit, though in that case there were iron boxes and a speed boost you could get, whereas here, there doesn't appear to be anything. Why would you ever take that route if there's nothing to gain? And it makes me wonder if this could play maybe a bigger component. Could every racetrack have this? Could this actually be a pit stop? Now if we zoom in, or rather move the video along, we can see it's actually a Fire Flower gas station, which makes me wonder, could that actually be a key part of this pit stop. Could you collect gas here maybe? Could there be some kind of new boost component, kind of like F-Zero, where you can stop here, refill your boost meter, and get, boost for later on? Kind of like having a mushroom you can activate whenever, independently of having to have an item for it. Because I don't think they go so far as to have a full actual gas meter. We can actually run out of gas. Though maybe that would work if this truly is a giant open world. I think it being some kind of boost meter you have access to at any time, assuming you have, a full gas tank. Especially because if we take a close-up look at Mario's Kart itself, it has an area for 1-up fuel. Let's see if we can get a better read on that. There you go, 1-up fuel right there. Now, this isn't on every kart. In fact, it may only be on Mario's Kart. And it could just be a fun sticker or fun, design element that's part of his card itself, or it could again tease a bigger feature, being the Fire Flower gas station, which if that actually is the case, maybe there is a pit stop on every racetrack where you can stop again to fuel up and get maybe boost for whenever you need it. Because again, I see no other reason for this pit stop to exist, as it's not blocked off. You can access it, but there seems to be no good reason to, so here's hoping. Now while we're here, there's something else I want to point out, and that's the fact that there is a green barrier separating the pit stop from the main raceway, and Tom noticed something interesting about it during our live stream earlier, and that's the fact that it seems to connect to the ground at an angle on both sides, indicating or suggesting that maybe you can drive up it. And that gave Tom the idea, can you grind rails or pipes in this game? Because this appears to be a green pipe. And that will make a ton of sense because pipes in Mario, of course, take it from one area to the other. So maybe you can do that in this game too, riding the pipe from one end to the other. Maybe get some kind of speed boost along the way, or maybe it'll make you immune to items or being attacked by items. Who knows what, there's probably some kind of benefit, assuming that's actually a thing. And as it turns out, it's not the only green pipe here, as there's another one on the opposite side, right here. And in fact, if we back up the video even farther, you can see that it connects to the ground in a similar way. So again, it makes us wonder, can you use those green pipes to grind and, for shortcuts or bypass traffic or whatever element it might be? Now, I should mention the fact that at least in this course configuration, it appears to be outside the normal bounds because it's behind this wall here, along with, behind the spectators as well. But of course, in another course configuration, maybe it'd be accessible, or maybe it's just a background element, as there are, green pipes elsewhere as well, like connected to this tower here, as well as in the background here as well. So odds are it's a decorative element, but I want to touch on that because it is pretty unusual to see it connect to the ground in that way, even though, as a pipe, you would think it has to connect to the ground in some fashion. Anyways, I thought it was fun, whether or not it actually is a new feature or not. Now, I want to touch on some returning features real quick, just to, reiterate the fact that they're still there. First of all, we can see a bunch of racers right here hop all at once as they begin a power slide, as they start getting a blue spark. So it seems like, power slides are back, you still hop to do them, and you can still hop in general, and you probably still, level up through them in the same way that you do Mario Kart 8 or maybe Deluxe. We don't know, there's 2 or 3 tiers here still, but in any case, power slides seem to function the same way as before. Next, we had the return of the Mario Kart TV vans right here. Now, you might not think anything of this because, we've seen these before all over Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but the thing to remember is that they were introduced originally as part of a major feature in Mario Kart 8, being the ability to make custom replays with different camera angles, different lengths, focuses on different things, and the ability to share it to YouTube. And the fact that it's featured here so prominently, again, may mean nothing, but could also indicate that there is some kind of return or expansion of that feature. Maybe allowing you to interact or share it to other people on Switch 2 with some kind of new community-based features. Next up, I want to focus on this specific racetrack itself, being Mario Bros. Circuit, which, first off, I don't know why it's called that, given the fact it seems to have nothing to do with Mario, besides maybe the green pipes on the side. If anything, it at best reminds me of the Mushroomy Kingdom from Smash Bros. Brawl, which had a similar desert landscape because it took place in the future. And maybe that's what's going on here. Maybe this is a distant future where everything has just been destroyed. I'm kidding, I don't know. Anyways, there are ads though for like Mario Motors and Luigi's tires right here, as you can see. But beyond that, again, not a whole lot of the connection to the Mario Bros. But if we rewind the trailer to the very beginning, you can see the course icon for it at the bottom of the screen, written on the track itself, where it says Mario Bros. Circuit, and it features a design element that seems to correlate to something in this track, which we'll get to in a second. Now, it's hard to say much about the icon here, but if you go farther ahead, there's actually a sign that gives us a much better look at it, which is right here. So if we zoom in on this, we can see again a sign showing like a highway sign for Mario Bros. Circuit. So this is evidently a highway, and it shows a track symbol for it with this winding path that goes over onto itself before continuing on. And as it turns out, we can actually see that exact part of track from this angle, or I'm pretty sure at least. Because if we look in the background of this very scene, we can see a part of the track that looks very similar to that, where we can see it winds up and around and seemingly may go over itself too, again, like the design right here. Now, I can't say for 100% sure whether that actually is the exact same as it is here, but regardless, it seems like that is an interesting part of the track that you will be able to get to in some way. Again, showing the breadth of this track and how it may change, either dynamically or again, based on whatever layout you choose in advance. Next, I want to return to the final part of the trailer and touch on a few more details that we didn't mention earlier. Like, did you catch those interesting mountains in the background? There's all kinds of them, but they're all similarly shaped, and to me, they look like mushrooms from Mario, which is kind of interesting. So that's a fun detail. We've seen things like that before, but never quite as magnificent as this. Which again kind of speaks to the whole scale of this game, because if you look at this segment of racetrack, it seems to go on forever. That is a long straightaway before it finally curves up there, maybe going into the mountainous area. And again, it just speaks to the scope of how large everything is. And it's so large, in fact, that in this case they had to add multiple speed pads to kind of like speed you along, which, maybe you don't even need them if my gas idea comes into play with you being able to boost anywhere. Anyways, returning to the Yoshi Cafe here, we already know about the alternate route right here that leads to the seemingly Wonder Seed, but there's also a route behind it as well, which is interesting. I don't know what that's about. Unfortunately, we can't tell if there's really anything back there or not, but it's not blocked off, again suggesting that you can go back there. So maybe there's an item box back there for anyone who ventures that way, maybe another new element beyond the Wonder Seed. We don't know, we're just speculating. Alright, we're just about done here, but there are still a few final key details I have to point out, and that begins with the gas station. And there's a couple things more I want to touch on it. For one, speaking of on it, there's a giant car resting on top acting as an advertisement for the gas station. Again, making me wonder if it indicates a bigger feature at play here, like with my boost meter idea. Who knows? I don't know, but that car does match the design of the other cars we've seen elsewhere on this racetrack, and maybe throughout the rest of the game. Next, though, is beyond it is a ticketing office. And inside, if you look inside the ticketing window, we can see a blue Yoshi, and he appears to be wearing what looks like, I think, a Mario Motors cap or some kind of cap, and that's just adorable. I love that. Speaking of characters, though, let's go ahead and zoom back out here, because along the raceway we can see the usual like Toads and and Yoshis. There's another light blue Yoshi, for instance. But we also see, for I believe the first time, another new type of character being the Sledge Brothers, or Sledge Bros, I guess. If we zoom in on this guy right here, you can see him. There he is. And there's plenty of others throughout here as well. Like this guy right here. Look how happy he looks, and who wouldn't be? He's watching an epic new Mario Kart game at play. And just behind him, if we zoom in on the wall, we can see a cute little chomp sign. Look at that. A little chomp sign, a little sign of the chomp, chain chomp on it. But that's not my favorite sign here, because there is one more. Because just to the right of that Sledge Bro is what appears to be some kind of shipping container with a picture of Nabbit. And not just a picture, but the name too, in case there was any doubt. Making me wonder, could Nabbit possibly be a character in this game? Here's hoping. And there you have it, everyone, my analysis of the new Mario Kart game. I have to say, after going through it in this fashion, I'm more excited than ever, because again, on the surface it looks very similar, but when you dig in deeper, it looks to be even more expansive than we've ever seen before. But we still don't even fully know the full scope of this game. Some people speculate it's fully open world. I don't think it's going to go that far, but I do think these levels are going to be far more open than we've ever seen before, with there still being a variety of racetracks, but with there also being multiple ways of playing through them. Again, if it doesn't change dynamically throughout the race itself, like the city tracks in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm really excited in any case for what's happening here, especially with the potential for that Wonder Seed idea, or the mechanic item, I should say, or maybe the idea of filling up your gas tank, and everything else we've seen, like the giant roster of characters, or the having 24 racers at once, and everything else here. I can't wait. But let me know in the comments what you thought of my analysis. Did you like this new format? And do you want to see and did you spot anything else that I missed? Let me know in the comments below. On that note, thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll catch you later. Bye.